Hello and welcome back to the final episode in the Tommy Wave Budget Deck series. I'm Tom, and I've been really enjoying this series. Thank you all for tuning in and checking out the whole series if you've been staying with me. I'm also looking for stuff to do, like create another series, so if you've got any ideas, definitely throw those at me in the comments section. Before we get into our last episode here, I do want to go through our criteria for the budget deck series. Once again, we don't have any set dust limit. We don't want to set an arbitrary number to stick to. Instead, we want to focus around the core of a deck. So something that you can add on to and mess with to have a functional deck, but just focus on those core cards that might be, 4 to 6 rares. The other thing we want to make sure we do is have a reasonable upgrade path. So we can take this core of a deck and we can invest more dust, more gold into it, and eventually get a high performing deck in the current meta game. Another thing is we've had the announcement of a new year of the Raven, and we actually just had that set announcement for what was it called? The Shadow something, the Bad Woods, the Dark Place in the Woods place, the Witchwood, yeah. So we had some previews for that. So when that does come out, we're going to be losing a bunch of sets from Standard, so we want to avoid particularly rare cards from those expansions, just because we want to get the most bang for our dust. We don't want to spend 100 dust on a rare and have that be unusable in a month's time or so. Alright, without further ado, as you may have seen from the video title, if you're watching on YouTube, today we're doing Paladin. Paladin, it's almost like we saved the best till last, as Paladin does have some of the best performing decks in the metagame right now. If we look at Vicious Syndicate, which is where I get a lot of the data from, it has some really good matchups against a lot of the field, particularly all the aggro versions, so the 3 different flavors, and there's even a Exodia Paladin out there. So we'll take a look at the 3 flavors, the Neapolitan ice cream of that is Paladin. The first version is Murloc Paladin, which is focuses on Murlocs, as you would imagine. It's an aggressive deck. We want to open up with our Tide Callers or our Grimscale Chums, get some buffs on our stuff like Rockpool Hunter, which is a fantastic tempo play, going Grimscale Charm or Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter. If your opponent doesn't have a very quick answer, you snowball quite quick, really well. Cold Light Seer is a great answer to things like Duskbreaker, one of the few outs to cards like Defile, and a little bit Hellfire to some degree, but those are cards that make the Paladin vs Warlock matchup quite difficult. And Wall Eater there to buff all of our Murlocs up. I guess the overarching theme of all these Paladin decks that you'll see is all of them play Call to Arms, all of them play Divine Favor, and we'll get into that later, but these 2 cards are some of the most powerful tools that Paladin has access to. And this week we have Gentle Megazord up at the end to buff all of our Murlocs and hopefully kill our opponent. The other deck I've got here is Dude Paladin. This is just the standard Dude Paladin off of Vicious Syndicate. This one, the Dude in Dude Paladin refers to the Silverhand recruits. So this list is more focused on buffing those cards rather than the Murlocs or anything like that. So to go with our Drygulch Jailers, we have Steward of Darkshire. It's really good to give them all Divine Shield, and we have the Rallying Blade to go with that. Rallying Blade fine on its own, but especially with these Divine Shield minions, either ones that were given Divine Shield with Steward of Darkshire or Righteous Protector Argent Squire, it's phenomenal. Getting any number of triggers off of this is amazing. Stand Against Darkness, spit out some more boys, and Lightfuse Stegodon playing a similar role to the Gentle Megazord that we saw in the Murloc deck. We get to adapt all our Silverhand recruits, so hopefully we can find like some sweet buffs, some plus attack to kill our opponent, some divine shield to have a bit more resilience, and just a great flexible card. Our Crystal Lion. Some decks don't play the Crystal Lion, but I think it makes for a great kind of resilient beater at the end of the curve. So that's the Dude Paladin. And the last kind of flavor of Paladin is just the general aggro Paladin. So rather than focusing on synergies between tribes like Silverhand Recruits or Murlocs, it's pretty just cutthroat deck that focuses on like individual power level, going under your opponent. Doesn't exactly need as much synergy, as we said before, to get everything rolling. So it plays a lot more 1-drops, even has the South Sea Deckhand, as it does have both Rallying Blade and Unidentified Maul. So this often has Charge, which is particularly useful when it comes off of a Call to Arms, because it has more immediate impact on the board. And Knife Juggler as well. I think Knife Juggler's been in all of these decks. Is just great with Call to Arms. If it does come out as one of the first creatures, it will trigger off of the subsequent creatures coming into play. It's got Leroy up the end. But just a very like who's who of aggressive cards here. So we talked about two cards there, the Divine Favor and Call to Arms. So those were in all of those decks, and one of the issues with Paladin when I was thinking about this, I've spent so much time thinking about Paladin the last like 3 weeks, is Call to Arms is one of our most impactful cards, but it isn't epic. So and a lot of the other cards, particularly in our this Aggro Paladin here, we have this really solid, chunky kind of early mid-game of Knife Juggler, Divine Favor, Rallying Blade, Unidentified Maul, and they're all rare. So doing a bit of a comparison of 8 rares versus 2 epics, which are the same dust cost, what's the best, as I said before, bang for your dust? So what I actually did is I played some games today. I actually made 2 decks. I made one deck that is entirely common with 2 Call to Arms. A sec here. There's a couple of weird choices here that I was trying to figure out on the fly. And some non-bows like Dragon Slayer and Cobalt Scalebane. We'll ignore that. But I made this list to see how good just Call to Arms is on its own. And then I also made this list to compare it to just having a bunch of rares in there. So I had the Unidentified Mauls, Divine Favors, and Knife Jugglers in this list. And what I found is that, and I think this might just be a general thing, is whilst having the Call to Arms were really good, they were very powerful when I played it. It was great. The inconsistency of playing a whole bunch of games where I didn't draw it, the rest of the deck just felt very weak. It felt underpowered. Whereas when I played the deck that didn't have Call to Arms, yes, I didn't have an individually powerful card, but I did have the consistency of these like nice punchy rare cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with that deck today. I think in general we can take this learn and keep it in mind for the future. And if you are a person who does go with budget decks quite a lot, keep that in mind, that maybe craft the rares, the consistent stuff first before you go and like get the legendary or whatever, or the epics, unless it's a quest deck. But anyway, the general rule: get the majority stuff before you get the minority stuff. All right, so we'll look at the core of Aggro Pally. So, like with a lot of decks, oftentimes when I do these intros, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we're trying to go under our opponent. the great thing is that Paladin actually gives us a couple of tools to help with that in Lost in the Jungle and Righteous Protector. Particularly Righteous Protector, this just makes our opponent trading in the early game, it makes it so hard for them because they have to hit this thing twice. Meanwhile, we've got our things like Glacial Shards to slow them down, and our other 1-drops that can trade into their creatures more efficiently. I think we've had Direwolf Alpha in like every single budget deck, except maybe the Priest one. But this is just a phenomenal card, and even better with all of our Divine Shield minions, as it can allow us to trade up multiple times. I've said it before. It's like having a 4-power minion, 2 of that power of which has charge. Amazing. I put Hydrologist in here. Some of the Call to Arms, the Paladin decks, the ones that have Call to Arms, don't play Hydrologist because you don't get the Battle Cry, and it's just a 2/2, which is pretty low value. But because we don't have that, we can actually slot this one in here, and it's a great way for us to get a little bit of extra value because we do need that when we are a budget deck. Divine Favor. So. I didn't mention this, but Divine Favor is a card that, like every other aggro deck, really wants this type of card, in that it allows us to vomit our hand out, particularly all our low drop threats, and then Divine Favor for 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, restock, and then hopefully be able to use those cards to finish the game off. Either that lets us draw into our late game threats, or it lets us deploy a bunch more 1, 2, 3 drops to get the game done. Blessing of Kings has been performing quite well, a bit weak to Silence, of which there's still quite a lot floating around, but this is I think this will give you a lot of free wins, like you'll just develop a huge threat at a point where your opponent doesn't have answers, and just steamroll through, and before your opponent can stabilize, they're already too low. And we've got our Fungal Mantis here. I was not sure, once again, I feel like I always have this debate of like Fungal Mantis versus Cobalt Scalebane. Fungal Mantis is really, really good with Call to Arms. It's a great follow-up from turn 4 to turn 5. But I've been finding that because a lot of our minions are pretty either sticky, they have Divine Shield, or numerous in that they come from Lost in the Jungle, or some of our other threats, that Fungal Mantis has never been bad. So I definitely think 2 is the right number here. So it's a huge core. 20 cards I think might be the biggest core that we've ever had. So let's take a look at what I've filled the rest of the deck out with. I've got a couple of flex cards in here, 1 Swamp Ooze and 2 Spellbreakers. The Swamp Ooze has been performing quite well. Thinking of maybe bumping one of these Spellbreakers down to a Iron Beak Owl, but they've been fine. Rares, I've added the Knife Juggler in. Even though we don't have Call to Arms, Knife Juggler has been performing really well just with all these 1-drops, particularly the Fireflies, as a great way for us to compete in the mid-game, particularly in the mirror match. I've also got the Unidentified Mauls in here. Whilst I do think that Rallying Blade is a better weapon for 3, especially without Call to Arms or any of the Steward of Darkshire synergies. It is from Whispers of the Old Gods, so we are losing that soon, and the power level difference isn't super high, so I think Unidentified Maul is actually a really good craft, and definitely worth it. Though if you didn't want to spend the dust, you could probably just find another 3-drop to put in there. I've also included 2 True Silver Champions, so we've got 4 weapons. That might be a bit overkill, So you can certainly leave these at home if you don't want to craft them. Knife Juggler, though, I think is a really good craft. Other than that, I've got one more late game card in here, one Cobalt Scalebane. So I think 3 is probably the right number of late game cards. Though I'd also, if you wanted to include something like the Reckless Rocketeer, the Budget Leroy Jenkins, this could be an idea. As outside of the weapons, the deck doesn't have a lot of ways to immediately produce a charge minion or some damage and push it through. What are some other cards that we were thinking of including but maybe didn't? We could do a small Murloc package, so like Grimscale Chum, Rockpool Hunter, and the 3-drop Murloc, the Primal Fin Lookout. One of the things that I did notice with Paladin is, like, I can actually show you now. There's only 2 Paladin cards at 3-drop that aren't rare or above, and Nightbane Templar comes from Karazhan, so it's actually really tough to find a bunch of 3-drops to fill out the curve, rather, without spending some dust. Like you saw in the other deck, we had Dragon Slayers and Death Speakers and stuff in there, which is not exactly... They aren't exactly the highest quality of cards. But yeah, other than that, I think we'll jump into some games, and we'll see how the deck performs. I'll see you soon. Alright, we have a game against Druid. One of the good things about not having Call to Arms in the deck is that we don't have to mulligan everything for Call to Arms. We might actually keep them all. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think we match up terribly well against was it the Oaken summons that with to get the 3/6 with Taunt out? Just uni and whatnot. I didn't know you were going to uni. What are you doing? Giving up the full-time lifestyle. We are listening to Sad Boy Sheldon today. Bachelor of International Relations. Ah. What made you want to do that? Our opponent going for draw of Nourish, which is kind of concerning, to be honest. Probably should have, attacked before we did that. Brain is a bit on autopilot, so we missed 2 damage there. Always been super interested in international politics and policies. Seemed like a good fit. That's really cool, dude. I'm really happy for you. Yeah, I can't think of what I'd do if I went back to uni. I actually kind of wanted to go back to TAFE and do like video editing and stuff. Also, that was pretty tasty. We're still pretty dogged to like Lich King or something, or Primordial Drake. Ugh, Primordial Drake would suck. That also sucks. The plague sucks. That's a pretty good one, though. You got the plague. Yeah, Plague-oo. Plague-oo no bueno. Mally Druid. I think we'll call it there. That was a pretty close game, I think. I think we definitely could have tried to play around some stuff. Could have tried to play around the spreading plague. Possibly not killed the sprite that they played on turn 4. Alright, so this is the really bad matchup. I think if we check the stats on the matchup, yeah, every paladin deck, including the control paladin deck, is a has a negative matchup against Control Warlock, of which most Warlocks, especially one that plays nothing on turn 1 and taps on turn 2, are extremely likely to be Control-y combo-y nonsense. Does this do anything? Don't think so. We didn't have a particularly fast start either. This Glacial Shard could be alright if they just try and play the Lackey and don't have... Oh, fast here. So it's like a hand lock. I've not seen an Earthering Farseer out of a Warlock in a hot minute, that's for sure. Oh, youch. That is a hot pepperoni. Pushing this out of the range of Defile is... I wanted that one though. I wanted that one. Alright. See if they got the business. Okay. Unfortunately, this makes Getaway Kodo potentially worse. Huh. So if we're gonna Blessing of Kings, where's it gonna go? The Firefly? So if we put it here, that's bad for if they have single target removal. Though they've already played a Siphon Soul. It's probably one of these two. This is better if all they have is Hellfire. But they'll probably have Twisting Nether anyway, so... and we'll continue to play around Defile. Oh, Doomguard, not Void Lord. Now they can Defile as well. Alrighty then. Now the Crossroads. They must not have it, right? Like, the file there was so good. Like, they could have pushed face for quite a lot instead of trading in. Did they destroy it? Aww. Ah, jeez. Ah, beans. Alright. I like Dreadlord as well. Where's the Divine Flavor? Oh, beans. Ugh. Ghoul Daddy. Please be gentle. Just be quiet. Maybe they'll, how can they hit us for 12 with one hit? Maybe they've got like 2 Demon Fires and a Blood Fury potion? But they have to kill this first. Ah, Blast Crystal potion as well. Dang. Oh, we did all right. I think we made some okay plays. We got dunked by that Defile that I think was off the top, but if not, then our opponent preserved their resources well. But I think we played all right and it's a bad matchup. Not that we should be using that as an excuse, but we did okay. They even had Dreadlords in there, which I haven't seen in Control War. Well, you have Earthen Ring Fastiers, so you know, maybe they're on some hot new tech. So we've lost 2, but I'm feeling pretty good about those 2, and hopefully it's kind of hopefully y'all can still see the kind of power that the deck has. I think Dude Pally is the like mirror that I want to see the least of. I have to trade in. We don't really want to leave that thing up if they have like a Righteous Protector or something. Are we recording a budget deck series at the moment? Yeah, we are. Generally what I do whenever I stream is I'll play some games with a deck, and I'll record a video live. What a stinker of a hand. Really want to save that if they try and Blessing of Kings, but like the other alternative is like we Swampu's Squire, and then if they have Call to Arms we just get blown out. Oh, Dark Conviction. I saw this in a couple of the decks. I actually think it's really sweet. Like Dark Conviction or the potion that gives Divine Shield is actually kind of interesting. Yeah, so this is just one of those games where we couldn't get under them, and instead they're going to land like a level up or a Stegodon or something here. And I don't think we are equipped to come back from that kind of powerful play. We're just trying to keep everyone honest and fair, but when they get to do their busted stuff, it's not great. But yeah, so whenever I stream I'll play some games and then I'll just record a video live. So it's usually not much different to if I would record it offline, and I get people in chat and stuff and they can ask questions, and because usually there's heaps of stuff that I miss because I'm only human. But this is the last episode in this series, so I'll probably go back to just recording some real decks. Oh, this is cool. I like this. Haven't actually seen that pop up before. I think we've seen enough. Give our opponent the well played. Alright. Unfortunately, the intro that we did was quite long, so I'm just going to do the 3 games today. Sucks that we didn't get any wins. I feel like this is actually one of the better budget decks that you can be making, but yeah, it's sometimes pretty tough to compete with those real decks. But I definitely suggest this deck if you are looking to do some Paladin quests or try and climb up the ranks. I think this is really good, and we've got a really nice upgrade path of where just the 2 Called Arms improve the deck immensely, and then some Keep a Tarim or maybe some Rallying Blades to finish things off. And we don't really lose a lot in the rotation either, so I think I would say that Aggro Paladin is going to be around for a long time. So give it a shot. Let me know how you go with the deck. And if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. We're going to have some couple weeks of Kobolds and Catacomb decks left, and then I'll be back hopefully with another budget deck series when we get the dark tree place, the Forest of Doom, the Witchwood. Yes, when we get Witchwood. I'll see you in the next one.